Welcome, Janet and Stewart Swerdlow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure for us to have you on the interview. Great intuitives, healers, and writers. And we are really proud to meet you here at the Bosnian Pyramids, a very special time of summer solstice. We would like to ask a short introduction to our Polish viewers who already know you, as we made some series of shows, TV shows, and you were well received.
Thank you.
Please tell us how you both cooperate.
Do we cooperate? I don't know.
Support each other in this great work of enlightening the humanity.
Well, you know, we do similar work, but in different ways. I do a lot of work with color therapy, archetypes, mind pattern analysis, dream analysis, and Janet does the same thing, but she does more oversoul work, more toning work, that kind of thing.
And I also do the color and the archetypes. But you know, we have people say things like, "Are you competitive? You know, do you compete with each other?" But I always say that we are one soul in two bodies. And for that reason, we do cooperate with each other. We're not competitive. We support each other. You know, I'm thrilled that his work is so well received. He supports me in what I do. And of course, like any couple, we have our moments, you know, where we don't always agree.
Many moments.
One or two here and there. But as a general rule, we get along. I mean, we work 24 hours a day, side by side, 7 days a week. And considering all of that, I think we get along pretty well.
Yeah, and the only difference is I'm the pretty one.
Yeah, I have to concede that, of course.
When one looks on both of you in your interviews, your films which you make, you look so harmonious. For me, it's like a perfect partnership.
Yeah, I think it is, honestly. It really is a perfect partnership. There's nobody else I'd rather be with. He's a challenge. I like to think perhaps I challenge him sometimes too. But that's that keeps us going, you know, and we're always working. We work on each other, we work on ourselves, we work on our family. You know, we have common goals, and we're very fortunate to have each other. We've been together almost 20 years now.
I remember in one of your books you mentioned something that you were already married together in one of the previous lifetimes.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, that's correct.
I do remember it so well because it finished in an accident.
Yes, that's right.
Would you kindly tell it
Actually,
to
let
us?
Janet tell that story.
Well, from my perspective, we were on another planet, and there was a spaceship that was going off-world. It was a wartime, and I asked him not to go. So it makes me cry. And he went.
And this is amazing because whenever I think of this event from your life, I'm also having the same sensation.
It was a terrible thing. And
I think it happened during the Draco attack on Lyra.
yeah.
And so that's when our excursions to other places began.
A pretty long time ago.
Yeah.
So we as humanity come from Lyra system.
Yes.
And it was about 2 million years ago, as you said in your book, Blue Blood, True Blood. It means all humanity comes from Lyra system, all humans. You mean these humans which are now here are already somehow invalidated through the hybridization process?
Yes. But of course, that's all humans from this Milky Way galaxy originate in the Lyra star system. Of course, there's hundreds of millions of galaxies. So there's many other types of humanoid species out there.
We hear nowadays so much about Mars and about that we have some connection with Mars.
Yes.
This also, your books mention about that. And we recently have done few a series of shows about your Blue Blood, True Blood.
Yes.
For us, this book is like a new history, a rewritten history. Did you get information about this in the Montauk Project?
Yes, in the Montauk Project, we learned about human civilization, where it came from, how it got to the Earth. Basically, but the reason they told us, not to help us learn, but they told us because to show how humanity was always victimized and how they cannot survive on their own. And so it takes a lot of control systems in order to continue the civilization. That's why they told us those stories, not to be helpful, but as a justification of what they were doing.
The observers you mentioned in your Blue Blood, True Blood were also coming from a reptilian race.
Yes.
And were these reptilians from underground Draco
Now,
or they already came from Draco system?
Well, both. They originate in the Draco star system. And of course, as I mentioned in the Blue Blood book, they colonized Lemuria. They were here a long time before the humans were here. That's why they consider this to be their planet. And then when the destruction occurred, when the final war between Atlantis and Lemuria occurred, and Lemuria was destroyed, then they went into the underground caverns and into the inner earth. There's actually two separate locations under the ground. The cave system or the cavern system, as we see even under the pyramids here, is between the outer and inner mantles of the Earth's crust. And then there are civilizations of reptilians that are in the inner Earth, in the inside part of the Earth. And then again, there are also reptilian energies that live in the lower astral planes. They're not exactly physical. So there's a wide range. When we talk about reptilians, it can mean several different things. We have to be very specific.
And there are even some that can walk the earth and they have an energetic button that changes their energetic field.
Right, holographic image.
Right, so they appear human, but they're not.
This means they can even be on high places in governments, as
Yes.
David Icke mentioned.
Yes, of course.
How the problem of those reptilians which are underground correlates to the Draco system now? What is the current situation of?
Their goal is to wait for the Draco Empire to have this planet on their invasion list, so to speak. You know, the Draco go out and fan out into the galaxy, into different solar systems, and occupy and assimilate the cultures. And this planet is also being assimilated in that way. So there will be, as I mentioned many times, a staged alien invasion, and then there will be a real one. And there may even be something else, some kind of war or battle between those who have the real invasion and the Draco who come back to assimilate. So basically, the reptilians under the earth are waiting for their home star system to come and invade.
And how the hybrids from Sumer time, what role they are playing in this game?
In Sumer, you know, the hybridization program, there were several different stages of it, and we're in a final stage of it at the moment. And are you referring to the shape-shifting
Exactly,
ones?
to those 13 families which we recently introduced in our show.
Right, right. Well, they will prove, when the reptilians are shown to be the savior race, they will prove that they have the genetics of the Christ or Emmanuel figure, which makes them the real rulers of the earth. And not only the rulers of the earth, but we should worship them, because they are the children of Christ.
I think the Vatican goes in this direction, announcing that we have brothers in Christ somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
the Vatican
said
was,
this
yes.
a year or two ago, that there are aliens out there, and that they are brothers in Christ, and we must accept them. But they said something else, which was very interesting. They said, some of these aliens are so spiritual that they already are under the grace of God and no longer have to follow a religion.
Do they define the person of God?
They didn't go that far, but they just are preparing people to worship and consider holy these aliens that come.
What about Kuiper's belt?
Kuiper Belt is a whole nother story, because that is a huge conglomeration of many different species from many different places who are basically coming to contain and eliminate what's happening here, but not because they have any love for humanity. They do it because they're protecting themselves.
How you estimate the role of women aspect in all these transformations which are taking now place on the earth?
Okay, that's an excellent question.
Jest to wspaniałe pytanie.
Yeah, because what they're trying to do is make the race androgynous. They're turning men into women and women into men so that there's no differentiation between sex. They're breaking up the families and creating isolation among the people so that people don't feel connected anywhere. Eventually, I believe they will have artificial wombs where women will not even bear their own children. And again, it's creating more isolation programming. Because in my opinion, what they're trying to do is create an army here on this earth that they can control. And as Stewart has said in many lectures, the way that the Milky Way galaxy is like a big pinwheel, and we're on a point, which is a very strategic location if you want to move out and conquer other aspects within the galaxy. So what they're trying to do is create a human battle force. Men and women, all the same. You can't tell them one from another. They wear their hair the same. They wear the same clothes. The women, they're making them more aggressive. The men, they're making them more feminine. And in my opinion, they're trying to eliminate the feminine frequency of the God mind. And one of my functions is to take a look at the different frequencies that exist, how they've been knotted and entangled, and untangle them, and to bring back to women the feminine frequency and the strength of femininity, which is about warmth and nurturing and caring of the self and of the family and therefore of each other, of humanity as a whole. And that to me is rapidly being dissipated. And it's a big challenge to go in and have women have value within themselves and have men value females as females, and the male frequency is male frequency. And that is what I see as Stewart's role in this whole issue with the females, is he's working with getting men to know what a man is, and I'm getting women to know what the female frequency is.
What is your advice to women on this earth now, how they can protect themselves?
Well, of course, we have many techniques that you first of all, protect yourself from ELF. They need very strong bodies, but in a female strength. We don't want them to look like male bodybuilders. You know, they need to find out what it's like to be a female. What is a female body about? It's not about cutting your breasts off like they're trying to have women do now. When I was growing up, they wanted every woman to have a hysterectomy, and I think that's because they wanted to study the womb and the ovaries. Now I think they want to study the hormones in the breasts. So now they're going like Angelina Jolie just had her breasts cut off. I don't believe she had them cut off. I think it's a ploy to get women to cut their breasts off so they have more breast tissue to sample and work with for the hormones. So take care of your body as a female. I don't think you should, go naked like a lot of women do. I think you need to learn modesty. And I think you need to learn to take care of your home, to nurture yourself, to nurture your family, to nurture your children. I think it was a really big disservice when women went to work outside of the home. I worked in my home. And not every female can, and I know, there's a lot of controversy about that, but I still feel maybe you need to sacrifice a few things so that you can have your children. So
to set priorities.
Set your priorities. My children are my priority. They come with me. If my children can't go, I don't go. And when we were first together, we had no money. We had one car. He went to work in that one car, and I stayed home. And then he took care of my children. And then when we could, he would take me to do the errands. So we put our family first, and I still put my family first.
I had a chance to look on you during our excursions today and yesterday, and I must say there's a lot of harmony, which is so contagious. So beautiful.
Yeah, we were very fortunate.
Your sons.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, and we have worked hard for that harmony. Stuart suffered before our relationship, and other things. I suffered, but we've come together, and we are overcoming all of that. So people who say I have this and I have that, Stuart and I between us have had like it all, So we have worked hard to get control of our own mind, of our own life, bring our family together, get along with each other. And continue to move forward with this very important work that we're bringing into the world that's not being done anywhere else in the same way.
Absolutely. And I can myself see how the people react on your teachings. There's a lot of truth and also experience, your own experience when it's put into the knowledge one is giving, then it's more powerful and truthful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we tell people, you know, this is our journey. It may not be yours, but take what you can and leave the rest. You know, we're going through the same struggles you are. We've been there. We know what you're feeling. You know, we're not perfect. We're working. You know, so it's not like we're better than everybody else. We're just two people who are working as best as we can with universal law and teaching it to other people so they can also better themselves, better their life. And you know what? If we release the need for oppressors within ourselves, the oppressors will go away. It's our mind patterns that created the oppressors, and somebody has to fulfill the role. They're not bad people. They're fulfilling the role that we, the victims, gave them to fulfill.
One more, the same question about this domination of male aspect in reptilian race. If it is more like prevalent there, as you say, yes.
Yes. Even though they are androgynous, they have a tendency to lean more towards the male side, and I believe it is because that they just have an aggressive personality. They're warriors, and they have fight or flight characteristic. So yes, it leans more towards the male, even though physically they are androgynous.
Some people have the tendency to have compassion, become compassionate towards them and pray for them. What is your take on it?
You know, people come to me so many years and say, well, if I just pray for that the aliens leave, well, they'll just go, or if I just send love to the Illuminati, they'll stop. And I said, no. You know, you can send all you want. I could give you beautiful flowers and you can throw them away. I can make a cake and you can throw it in the floor. They're not, just because you send the energy doesn't mean they're going to accept it. See?
And what I say is whatever you give out comes back. So that means if you want to do the work, as you already know about the oversoul that we talk about, if you want to send it up through the oversoul, and the oversoul can offer it, as Stewart is saying. If they accept it, it's one thing. Most likely they're not going to if you read the frequency. But because you're giving that out, that's more likely to come back to you. However, if we take it continually deeper, because people are so many multi-layered with so many mixed up frequencies, most people cannot accept all these things that they want to give. They cannot accept love, they cannot accept the positive, they cannot accept self-worth. That's why we become, partly why we become a race of victims. So that's multi-layered.
You teach the techniques which can enable a person to relieve himself or herself from a victimization mentality.
Yes.
And we are very grateful for that.
Yes. Well, and we're learning that. You know, as we learn, we turn around and teach it to the other person. So we're all learning, and we each will become, you know, better for that and release the need to have the oppressors.
Thank you very much, Janet, for your presence with us here at the Bosnia Pyramids.
I'm thrilled that you came. And of course, I love being here in Bosnia. I love Bosnia. It's a wonderful experience for me, too.
And this pyramid is also for you a source of energy?
I don't know if it's a source of energy right now, but I believe that it's a part of the bigger plan, and I believe that I have something to do with unraveling that bigger plan. And I think it's not going to happen overnight, but I think it's in process. And so I'm privileged to be a part of that unraveling. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Janet.